Namaste everyone. Welcome you all to 29th class of Sanskritasri Pathamala 3. Today we will continue learning Sandhi. Prarthana. Shuklam Varadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vighnopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalasphatiकाकृतिम् Adharam Sarva Vidyanam Hayagrivam Upasmahe Saraswati Namastestu Veena Pustakadharini Hamsavahanam Arudhe Vidyadanam Kurushvame. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So we were doing the exercises in Sandhi. We will quickly recapitulate what we did in the last class, the introduction to Sandhis. So the first is Maheshwara Sutras. Does anyone know the Maheshwara Sutras by heart? You can recite it from memory. Please raise your hand. Ushadi Vate Bhagini.
Namaskaram Bhagini. Suprabhatam.
Namaskaram.
Maheshwara Sutrani. A, I, Un, R, Luk, E, Om, I, Ouch, Hayavarat, Lan, Namangananam, Jhabai, Gadadash, Jabagadadash, Kapa, Chata, Tha, Chata, Tav, Kapai, Sha, Sar, Hal. Iti asti. Begin.
Samhi. Tatra Yamagananam Tat Sutram Vadatu.
I, Ouch, Hayavarat, Lan, Namangananam.
Nya, nga, nya, ma, nga, na. So you should make the distinction between nya and nga properly, so that when you are writing, you are clear. The first one is the Anunasika Vyanjanam of the Chavarka, and the third is that of the Kavarka.
Nya, ma, nga, na, nam.
Nga, you should not, stress. The throat should not be involved in the pronunciation of nga. It should just be a Anunasika.
One question, Bhagini. Yeah. There are two nakara there, right? A, I, Un, and then lan. So yes. When we say anpratyahare, sarvani swara santi. Lan iti, if you take lan, we have to say only la pratyahara.
Yes. So, generally the rule is when we say an, it is the purva nakara. And when we say in, it is the paranakara.
Oh, okay.
So that is the convention. Though there are two nakaras, this is the convention. There is just one sutra where an refers to the entire till lan. So that is the norm.
Yan means yavarala.
Yeah.
And then one more question, like you said, yes. Atra yoga agach, atra gachati. So there is akara in the first padam and akara yoga akara dirgha bhutva savarna dirgha sandhi bhavati. So when we say atra agachati iti eva we say, right? Like we don't say atra agachati.
When we want to say it really close together, then we can say atra gachati.
Okay.
Atra gachati is the correct way of saying it.
But
because
yes. But generally people say atra agachati, right?
It is allowed. So here we have the vivaksha. As we said, sandhi or the samhita is compulsory only in three situations. One is within a word, two is in a samasta pada, and three is between upasarga and dhatu.
धन्यवादः भगिनी.
One more time, if we can hear the Maheshwara Sutras from someone, it will be good. And Mari Bhagini. Are you able to unmute yourself? Can you try now?
Namaste. I don't know them by heart. I raise my hands for exercises.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you. Janjani Satish. Janjani Satish.
Yes, ma'am.
Rama. Namaste.
Yes, ma'am.
The Maheshwara Sutra. Yes.
I un Riluk A ong I ouch Hayavarat Lan Nyamangaranam Jabhain Jabhain Khadhatash Jabagadadash Kapha Chatata Chatata Kapai Sha Sar Hal.
Uttam, Samyak. Your pronunciation is excellent, especially the distinction between the Shakara, Talavya Shakara, and the Murdhanya Shakara. So you roll your tongue and say the Sh. And the pronunciation, Ucharanam of Mahapranas is also excellent. Samyak. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavadaha, ma'am.
Namaskara.
Namaskara.
I, un, riluk, a, ong, I, ouch, hayavarat, lan, lan, nyamangana nam,
Yes.
ghabhanya, ghabhanya, Jhabanya, Ghadadash, Jabagadash. That, by the way, Jabagadash, that dash is the 10th one. So it's a good way to remember, I find that. Jabagadash. The dash indicates the 10th one.
Oh, dasha. Oh, okay.
Dasha.
Okay.
Jabagadash.
That's a good day.
Kapha, chatata, chatatav, kapai, shashasar, hal.
Uttama Mahodaya. Dhanyavada. So, though it is not compulsory for Pathamala 3 to know the Maheshwara Sutras, it is a good thing to know because it is the starting point of Sanskrita Vyakarana. So, we'll go into Sandhi now. We were doing so primarily we need to know the difference between certain important terms. Samhita and Sandhi is often confused. So Samhita is just proximity of pronunciation. When two letters are pronounced really close to each other, it is called, they are said to be in Samhita. Varnanam atishayitaha sannidhihi is Samhita. Udaharanam, within a word, ra, rebha, akara, makara, akara, rama. We pronounce them all together, Rama. Ramaha gacchati. We can either give a pause between Ramaha and gacchati or say Ramo gacchati and say it together. And Sandhi, we always think about it as joining of two words, whereas it is actually the change in the letter, which is caused by pronunciation in Samhita. So only when there is Samhita will a change in the varnas happen. And that is called Sandhi. So we saw some examples. Aham agacchami. Here, aham and agacchami have been joined to give aham agacchami. Here there is no change in letters. So it is not a sandhi. It is just the Gunitakshara which we are using. Even though the way in which it is written is different, the way in which it is pronounced has to be the same. The next one is Saha Vanam Gacchati. So if we give a pause, we can say Saha Vanam Gacchati. Without a pause, we say Savanam Gacchati. So the Visarga has elided. The Makara has also become an Anuswara. Whereas Makara is a Vyanjana. It is in the Pavarka. So we use the lips to pronounce it. And Anuswara, we use only the nose. So Nasika Anuswarasya, they say. So Anuswara, only the nose is used in pronunciation of the Anuswara. Deva Alaya, there are two, there is an Akara at the end of the Deva part, and there is an Akara at the beginning of the Alaya part, which both together are replaced by a single Akara, Devalaya. That is the Sandhi we saw, the Dirgha Sandhi. Then within a word, Hare has become Haraye. That Ekara has been replaced by Ay. So Haraye. So in this, as we saw, this Makara and Akara becoming Ma is not a Sandhi. So the types of Sandhi Karyas are Adesha, Agama and Lopa. Adesha Shatruvat, where one letter is replaced by another letter, one letter or a group of letters. Agama is where a new letter comes in. So it is like a friend. Mitravat Agamaha, Lopaha Adarshanam, where you don't see a letter which was existing before, it is Lopa. So Sandhi is primarily a Varna Karyam, it is not a Pada Karyam. So you cannot say I have done Sandhi, so there were 3 words before, now there is only 1. We cannot say that. However close the pronunciation is, however close they are written without a gap, they are still that many words only if there is only a Sandhi Karyam which has happened. Padamadhye api Sandhihi bhavati. As we saw, Hare E. Within a word we see Sandhi. So it is between the letters that Sandhi is done. There is no need for 2 words or more. Now the types of Sandhi. Sandhi, broadly we can classify them as Ach Sandhi, Hal Sandhi and Visarga Sandhi. Ach is the Pratyahara or the abbreviation for Swaras or the vowels. So when an Ach letter is replaced, it gives rise to an Ach Sandhi. Hal Sandhi is where a Vyanjana is replaced. Hal is the Pratyahara for the Vyanjanas. And Visarga. Visarga has a very special place in Sandhis. Visarga can be modified into various varnas depending on what precedes it, what comes after it, etc. So we have a separate category called the Visarga Sandhi. Where is Sandhi compulsory? Putra Karaniyama. Sandhi Ekapade Nityaha. Nityaha Dhatu Upasargayoho. Samase api cha Nityaha syat sa cha anyatra vivakshaya. In other places, that is in a sentence, in a vakyam, Sandhi is based on the vivaksha of the person who is talking. So if he wants to take a gap, give a break or give a pause, it is possible. Sandhi ekapade nityaha hare e haraye. Again and again, we are seeing the same example for within a word. Nityaha dhatu upasargayoho. Upa agachati. Upa is an upasarga. Agachati is, agachati itself has a upasarga. So there we get upagachati. You cannot say I will pronounce it as upa-agachati. You have to say it as upagachati. Samase apisa nityaha Rama ayanam. You don't have an option to say Rama ayanam. You have to say Ramayana. Sacha anyatra vivakshaya syat. Prathama ekavachanam. Where there are two words. Prathama is one, ekavachanam is one word, prathama ekavachanam is a sandhi yukta. The types of sandhis we saw dirgha sandhi. It is otherwise called savarna dirgha sandhi. That is what we saw. Vriddhi sandhi, yan sandhi, ayavayava sandhi. Ay av ay av ayavayava sandhi, purvarupa sandhi, pararupa sandhi, and prakriti bhava. Prakriti bhava is absence of sandhi. It is not a type of sandhi. So akaha savarne dirghaha is the sutram for the savarna dirgha sandhi. Let me make it very, very clear. You do not have to know or remember the sutra. So if you understand the sutra, it is nice. That's so ak is the pratyahara for a, I, u, r, l. So akaha, when akaha is the panchami of ak. As we saw in all the halanta shabdas, say marut, marutaha, like that, ak, akaha, panchami ekavachanam. So which means when ak is followed by savarne, achi, it means savarne, achi is ach is swara. When it is followed by a similar sounding swara or a vowel, then you replace both by a dirgha. Dirgha is a, I, u, r, etc. These four are basically the dirgha varnas. So a, I, u, r, and l. These represent ak. These are represented by the abbreviation ak. So when they are followed by a savarna swara of the same kind of a swara, then you get dirgha as the adesha for the two together. The one which is at the end of the first part and the one which is at the beginning of the second part are both replaced by the dirgha. So we saw many examples and we were doing the abhyasa. So if somebody wants to try, you can raise your hand. Vani Krishna Varya Bhagini.
Namaste Bhagini. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram. Namaste.
Rukmini plus Ishaha, Rukminishaha.
Rukminishaha.
Mandara plus Adrihi, Mandaradrihi. Maha plus Alayaha, Mahalayaha. Sadhu plus Uktam, Sadhuktam. Vicharya plus Aha, Vicharyaha. Rama plus Ashramaha, Ramashramaha.
Samyak Bhagini. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha.
Padma Bhagini.
Rama Rama, Namaste.
Rama Ram. Namaste.
Maha plus Acharya hai. Mahacharya hai.
Yes.
Chiraya plus Agata hai. Chiraya Gata hai.
Chiraya Gataha. Now you have to split the sandhi.
Akshara plus Adihi. Aksharadi.
Akshara plus Adihi. Beginning. Akshara. Akshara Adihi. Aksharadihi. So if you know a familiar word, then you can see if that fits. So that is how you try to split the Sandhi.
Okay. Sita gacchati. Sita.
You think there is a Sandhi here?
Oh, Sandhi, I thought.
Sita, it can be Sita gacchati or Sita agacchati. Both will be Sita gacchati.
Oh.
So, since they have given split the Sandhi, we have to split it as Sita agacchati.
Sita plus
Because if it
agacchati.
is Sita gacchati, then there is no Sandhi. Yes. So,
Okay.
Sita agacchati.
Chandra cow. Chandra.
Arka is the sun. Chandra and
Chandra.
Arka.
Arka.
Chandra and Arka
Arka.
together. Chandra, cow. That is in Dvivachana. You are referring to both at the same time. So Dvivachana, Chandra, cow. Chandra, Arkau, Chandra, cow. Uttamam Bhagini. Dhanyavad.
The previous slide, what is the meaning of Mandaradri? It is
the name of an Adri. Mandaram.
Okay.
Giri.
Okay. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad. Uttamam. Reemalal Bhagini.
Namaste.
Ram Ram. Namaste.
Vivekanandaha.
You have to split it.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Viveka Anandaha.
Viveka Anandaha.
Samasa, right? That's it. Okay. Atra gacchati, atra agacchati.
Atra agacchati.
Mama acharyaha, mama acharyaha. Tavagre, tava agre.
Tava agre, tava agre.
Yada agatam, yada agatam.
Yada agatam. It could have also been yada agatam, but there won't be Sandhi.
Sandhi.
This is a Sandhi. Yada agatam, yada agatam.
Upaharati, upa aharati.
Upa aharati.
Upa aharati, yes.
Upa aharati.
Aharati.
Uttamam, samyak bhagini. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad.
Varadan Mahoday.
Namaste, Bhagini.
Namaste.
But just one question on the one of the earlier slides, the Akshara Digi.
Adi, Akshara Adi.
Yeah, Akshara plus Adigi, that's the answer. But can it be Akshara plus Adigi also?
Adihi, there is no word which is connected to it, right? So,
Okay.
so it has to be Akshara Adihi, Akshara Adihi. The Aksharana Adihi.
I thought some excess letter, like Adihi.
Adhika. That is the other fourth dha, Adhika.
Oh, okay.
Tavapi.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So Tavapi, Tava plus Api.
Tava plus Api.
Tavapi. Vinchya. Vindhya Chalaga. Okay. Vindhya plus Achalaga.
Vindhya Achalaga. Vindhya Achalaga.
Oh, Vindhya plus Achalaga. Okay. Malayadrihi. Malaya Adrihi.
Adrihi. Adri is a mountain. Malaya
Adrihi. Janaki iti. Janaka iti.
It cannot
Janaki iti.
Janaki iti. Janaki is the name. Iti.
Chitra kritihi. Chitra Akritihi.
Correct. So Akritihi is a Strilinga pada. So it has to be Chitra Akritihi.
I see.
I- Yadrichaya Dya.
Dya. So Yadrichaya Adya.
Yadrichaya Adya. I think in the textbook, the Adya part is missing. So you can supply that and then split it as Yadrichaya Adya.
So which lesson it is? Number?
This is 19th lesson.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The Dirgha Sandhi is in the 19th lesson. Samyak Mahodaya. Dhanyavada.
Okay. Thank you.
And Mari Bhagini, you can try now.
Namaste.
Ra.
Yadrichaya was written wrongly. Was written Yadchaya, double D. It was not.
Yes, it is written as double. I have to change it right away, otherwise it will go. Yeah. Yes, Tavapi, this we finished. This one is
Tavashayah, Tava Ashayah.
Samyak. Tava Ashaya.
Sadhuktam, Sadhu Uktam.
Sadhu Uktam, Sadhu Uktam.
Uktam. Maharambha, Maharambha.
Arambha.
Arambha. Vijayalayah, Vijaya Alayah.
Vijaya Alayah. Samyak.
Vinatanayati. Or Vinata. Vinata.
I didn't hear you properly. Can you repeat that?
Vinata Anayati.
Samyak. Vinata Anayati. Uttam. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavadaha.
So in 31 lesson, Sandhi is continued. So first is the exceptions to Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. For a list of words, though Savarna Dirgha Sandhi conditions apply, the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi itself does not happen. We will see where. Shaka Andhuhu, Shakanduhu. It does not become. There is an akara at the end of Shaka and akara at the beginning of Andhuhu. So basically Shaka is the name of a country and Andhu is a well. So a well in that country, Shakandhu, for which we do not apply the Savarna Dirgha. This particular word, there is a list of words which have been mentioned, for which we do not do the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. So Panini mentions these words. It is called Shakandhvadi Ganaha. So the list of words for which Shakandhu is the first word is called Shakandhvadi. That Gana is a group. In that Gana, whichever words are found, there is only a Pararupa. There is no Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. Similarly, Karkandhuhu, Karka, Andhuhu, Karkandhuhu, and not Karkandhuhu. Sima Antaha. Here, when it means partition of the hair, so the line which is on the head, where the hair is partitioned on both sides, is called Simantaha. Whereas if it means the border, then it is correct to say Simantaha, doing Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. Sima is a limit or a boundary generally, and Anta is the end. So when you combine the two words and use it as Simantaha, in the sense of boundary, it is correct. But when you want to refer to the partitioning of the hair, then you should say Simantaha. Kula Ata. It becomes Kulata when you want to imply an unchaste woman. Whereas Kulam Atati Iti, a woman who goes to different houses from one house to another, then you can say Kulata. So only in a particular sense, we don't do the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. Similarly, Sara Angaha, when you want to refer to a bird or an animal, this deer sometimes is called a Sarangaha. So Sarangaha, the Savarna Dirgha is not done. When you want to refer to a deer, you don't say Sarangaha. Whereas when you say Sarangaha, what it means is Sarani Angani Yasyasaha, the one who has strong limbs. So since Sarangaha, it is in Pullinga, we'll say a man or anything masculine which has strong limbs. Only in that sense we can do the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi. So here in all these cases, there is a Para Rupa Sandhi. So which means you have retained the latter letter. So Shaka, there is an Akara at the end. Andhu has an Akara in the beginning. What do? We retain only the Akara which is in the beginning of the second word and say Shakandhu. So if you ask, why can't we keep the that Akara as the one which is in the first word? Then it will fit for these particular words like Shakandhu, Karkandhu, Simanta, Kulata, Saranga. But there are other words in this group. As I said, Shakandvadikana has many words. So in that, we have some words like Manisha, Manas and Isha, Manisha. So there the as part disappears, only the ikara remains. So only the para part remains for all these words. That is why it is mentioned as Pararupa Sandhi. Like this is not the proper Pararupa Sandhi. Here Pararupa has happened. Pararupa means para is after or the latter. We retain the latter letter, whereas we don't use the vowel which is before, is what is implied. So in a normal circumstance, we would have done Savarna Dirgha, whereas here we retain only the second vowel and combine the other letters to give Pararupam. Shakanduhu, the derivation is given. Here, when you split the words, we get Shakara, Akara, Kakara, and Akara for Shaka. Andhuhu is Akara, Nakara, Dhakara, Ukara, and then Visarga. So we have two Akaras close to each other, where we do not, we use only the second Akara and we ignore the first Akara. We get Shakandhu, which is Pararupa. Next is Prakriti Bhava. Prakriti Bhava, when we saw the types of Sandhis, I mentioned that Prakriti Bhava is one where in spite of the conditions being fulfilled, Sandhi is just not done. So the words remain as they are, even though they are pronounced close together. So even when the conditions for doing Sandhis are there, combination of vowels does not take place, or the change in vowel does not take place will be a better way of putting it. When the words ending in dual is dvivachana, combined with any other words, no combination takes place. So the first example given is Ami Ishaha. This is actually not dual, this is plural. This is not an example of this particular rule. The second one is an example of this rule. Amu Uho. So the other shabda, which is pronoun, the dvivachana is Amu. Uhaha is a guess. So those two guesses is Amu Uho. Here we cannot combine them and say Amu Uho. It will remain as Amu Uho. This Ami Ishaha will also not get a Sandhi, Savarna Dirgha Sandhi, but that is by a different rule. So you just make a note of this and note that it will not, a Savarna Dirgha Sandhi will not happen. But the reason is not this. Generally, with dual ending words, with Ikara, Ukara, and Ekara, the Savarna Dirgha has not happened. Not just Savarna Dirgha, any Ach Sandhi. And a point to be noted here is Prakriti Bhava is absence of Sandhis, I said. But more particularly, Prakriti Bhava is absence of Ach Sandhi only. So the letters A, okay, now we have gone to Guna Sandhi, but before that, there are some questions. We will answer them and then go ahead. So where is the list of Shakandhu, etc. given? That list is in the Ganapatha. Panini's Sutra Patha is there. Then there is Ganapatha, Dhatu Patha. So one of the things is Ganapatha, where the different Ganas are enlisted there. But this particular Gana, there is a peculiarity about it, that wherever we find a Shishta Prayoga, Shishta is where the correct usage by great people or previously those who were speaking Sanskritam, those who were using it, if there is a usage in that way, then this Gana allows those words also to be included in the Gana. So it is an Akriti Gana, which means you can include words based on Shishta Prayoga in it. Is it necessary to by heart the Maheshwara Sutras? Not at all. It is just a nice to know thing. If you can by heart it, it will be nice because it will be useful for the learning of Vyakarana in the future. What is Atishyati in Sandhi definition? I did not understand that. I will come back to you. Deva Alaya. Isn't this an example of Samasa? Because it is really Devasya Alaya. As I told you, in a Samasa, it is compulsory to do Sandhi. So the two parts within a Samasa are Deva and Alaya. Okay, the Vigraha Vakyam is Devasya Alaya. It is a Samasa as well as Sandhi has been done between the two Samasta Padas. Two Padas which are in the Samasa. So this chapter that we did first was the Savarna Dirgha Sandhi was mentioned in the lesson 19. The exceptions are mentioned in lesson 31. Can Yadagatam also be split as Yat and Agatam? That is also correct, yes. So even when you split it as Yat and Agatam, that can also be Yadagatam. Yadrachaya written wrongly. Yes, I've changed that. Chitra Kritihi. Yeah, Chitra Akritihi or Chitra Akritihi. Chitra, it means something that is wonderful or which is fascinating. So I think Chitra Kritihi is a Samasta Pada, because if it is an independent Pada, then it should have either a Visarga if it is in Pullinga, Chitram, it will come with an Anuswara if it is in Napumsakalinga. So it in all probability, this is a Samasta Pada, and Akriti is a Strilinga Pada. So Chitra Akritihi, Chitra Kritihi. Sorry, this is not a Samasta Pada, but it is Chitra and Akriti. So if it is Visarga, it would have gotten a different form. If it is Napumsakalinga, you would have had Anuswara in between. I'm sorry, Makara itself. is Pararupa Sandhi only internal to words. Pararupa Sandhi need not be only internal to words. We will see the Pararupa in detail later. Ramaha Lakshmanaha, Rama Lakshmanao. Is it a Sandhi or Samasam? What is the difference? So first, to know the difference between Sandhi and Samasam, we need to know what a Samasa is. So we have not gone there yet. Rama Lakshmanao, there is no Sandhi because Rama is the pada, first pada, Lakshmana is the second pada. We have just combined them, Rama Lakshmanao. It is a Samasa, but now we cannot define the difference between Sandhi and Samasa because we don't know what Samasa is. Okay, so the second part is Prakriti Bhava. I think that's why Guna Sandhi is numbered as number 3. The letters A and O are called Guna letters. This is a particular nomenclature, the collection involving Akara, Ekara and Okara. And when I say Akara, it is only the Harasva Akara, not Akara or the Kruta Akara. So Akara, A and O are called Guna letters. So for a Guna Sandhi, when Akara or Akara is followed by Ikara or Ikara, you get Ekara. Akara and Akara followed by Ukara and Ukara, not and, Ukara or Ukara, you get Okara. Akara or Akara followed by Rikara or Rikara, you get Ar. And Akara Akara followed by Likara, you get Al. So these are the changes which are caused by Guna Sandhi. For all the types of Guna Sandhi, the first letter should be either Akara or Akara. And when it is followed by E or E, it becomes A. U or U, it becomes O. R or R, it becomes Ar. And L, it becomes Al. So the sutram is At Gunaha. At is Avaranat. For referring to Akara, he says Aka, A. And like Ramat, it is At. Gunaha. So when Akara is followed by any Ach, so by Ach, there are a lot of exceptions to the Guna Sandhi, with which we are left with only these 4 varnas, that is E, U, R, and L. By 4, I mean in the Maheshwara Sutra, there is only E, U, R. The Dirgha version is not mentioned in the Maheshwara Sutra. So technically there are only 4 letters, 4 varnas, E, U, R, and L, even though the Dirgha variants are included. So for each combination, we know what is the Adesha. So the Guna letter is an Adesha because Ekara is a Guna letter. You can get it as an Adesha when E or E follows. Okara is also a Guna letter. So when U or U follows, we get Okara, which is a Guna. That is why it comes under Guna Sandhi. And Repa and the Lakara follow the Akara, which is mentioned in the as a Guna letter. So this is by a rule because of which Repa, Repha and Lakara are added to the Akara in order to get the Guna Sandhi. So don't break your head too much with the sutra. If it can help you remember the Sandhi, then use it. Otherwise, just ignore the sutra. So the first example or the first set of examples that we are going to see is when the Akara or Akara are followed by Ikara and Ikara to give Ekara. Now somebody can try. Dr. Prakash Mohini Bhargava Bhagini.
Ram Ram Bhakti.
Ram Ram. Namaste. The first one is
Nara plus Indra. Narendra.
so there is akara at the end of Nara and E at the beginning of Indra. Together they have become Narendra. A and E become A. Narendra. Similarly,
Dev plus Indra. A plus E. Devendra.
Deva plus Indra. Devendra.
A plus Indra. Mahendra.
Here also the visarga should have been there. Mahendra.
Tatha plus Iti. Tathev. Tathet.
Yes, Tatheti.
Theti.
A and E.
Tatheti. T I missed. Tatheti.
Yeah, Tatheti. So, yeah. So this is an example for akara with ikara. Uttamam bhagini. Samyak. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavad.
Rajini Bhargava bhagini.
Namaste Bhagini.
Ram Ram. Namaste.
A plus E equals to A. Nara plus E equals to Naresha. Naresha.
Samyak. Naresha.
Gada A plus E Ganesha.
Samyak. Gana plus Ishaha. Ganesha.
A plus E Rama A plus Ishaha. Ramesha.
Samyak. Ramesha. Rama plus Ishaha. Ramesha.
Maha plus Ishvaraha. Maheshwaraha.
Maha plus Ishvaraha. Maheshwaraha. A and E gives A.
A.
Uttam. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavad.
Sriram Venkatesh.
Namaste, Surya.
Ram Ram. Namaste. Now, akara or akara with u or u, giving okara.
Hita plus upadeshaha, hitopadeshaha.
Samyak. Hita plus upadeshaha, hitopadeshaha.
Chandaha plus udayaha, chandrodayaha.
Chandra eva. Tatra visargaha nasti. Chandra udayaha, chandrodayaha.
A plus Ganga plus udagam, gangodakam.
Samyak. Ganga plus udakam, udakaha, gangodakaha. Should have been udakaha here. Okay. Rama
plus uktam, ramoktam.
Rama plus uktam, ramoktam. Uttam. Dhanyavadaha. Sharad.
Namaste Bhagini.
Namaste Bhagini. Once again. Just give me a minute. Sarada Bhagini.
Bhagini. Jala plus urmihi, jalormihi.
Yep. Jala plus urmihi, jalormihi.
Nava plus Udhaha, Navodhaha.
Nava plus Udhaha, Navodhaha.
Yamuna plus Urmihi, Yamunormihi. Tatha plus Urdhvaha, Tathorthvaha.
Urdhvam, I think, no?
Oh, sorry,
Tatha
Urdhvam. Sorry.
plus
Tatha,
Urdhvam, Tathordhvam.
Tathorthvam.
That's it. Uttam. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavad.
Next is Akara or Akara with Trikara or Rukara. Gives Ar. Lalita Bhagini.
Ram Ram, madam.
Ram Ram. Namaskara. Akara, Rikara gives Ar. Deva.
Devarshihi.
Devarshihi. So the A and R has become Ar. Devarshihi.
Sapta plus Rishihi, Saptarshihi.
Sapta plus Rishihi, Saptarshihi. Akara with Rikara.
Maharshihi. Maha plus Rishihi, Maharshihi.
Whether it is A or A, you get only Ar. So,
Maharshihi.
Maharshihi.
Oh, Maharshihi. Okay, okay. Ar only. Okay. Raja plus Rishihi, Rajarshihi.
Raja plus Rishihi, Rajarshihi. Samyak. Uttamam. Dhanyavada.
Thank you.
So now there are some exceptions to the Guna Sandhis. Aksha plus Uhini would have become Akshohini, whereas it is Akshauhini, where a Vriddhi has happened. We'll see what Vriddhi is a little later, but all we need to know that is that the Guna does not happen, something else happens, and we get Akshauhini. If Guna had happened, we would have had Akshohini. Similarly, Brahma plus Rishi in the example which we just saw, you can do the Guna. Brahmarshihi is correct. But sometimes there is the Prakriti Bhava where the change does not happen. So Brahma and Rishi are still mentioned close together. When you pronounce it to, or you say it together, you just say Brahmarshihi. You don't say Brahmarshihi. That is also correct, even though it is closely pronounced. Sapta Rishinam. This also, the Guna is called. You can say Sapta Rishinam, or you have the option of saying Sapta Rishinam. That is Prakriti Bhava, where Sandhi does not happen. The Guna Sandhi is avoided. The other one is Rana and Rinam. It becomes Rinarnam. A Vriddhi happens. So whatever it is, if it had been a Guna, then it would have been Rinarnam. But that does not happen. That is a wrong Sandhi. For this specifically, Rina and Rinam, you should say Rinarnam and not Rinarnam. Similarly, for Swa and Irini, Akara and Ikara would have become Ekara. It would have become Sverini. On the other hand, the actual word is Swairini. Swairini is only correct. You should not say Sverini. So these are the exceptions to Guna Sandhi. So in Brahmarshi and Saptarshinam, the Guna is correct. But only thing, you have the optional Prakriti Bhava. For the others, if you do Guna, it will be wrong. Only Vriddhi is correct. Next we go to Vriddhi Sandhi. Akara, Aikara and Aukara are called Vriddhi letters. So when generally in Guna or Dirgha, we saw that the letter which replaces, or the type of letter which replaces, that name is given to the Sandhi. When we replace two letters with a dirgha, we called it dirgha sandhi. When we replaced two letters with a guna letter, then we called it a guna sandhi. Similarly here, when two letters are replaced by akara, ekara or aikara or aukara, which are all vriddhi letters, we will be calling it a vriddhi sandhi. So in vriddhi sandhi, as in guna sandhi, the first letter will only be akara or akara. The paravarna can be ekara or aikara for the first type. Whether it is A or I, the ending letter, that is the adesha letter, will be I only. And similarly, when akara and akara are followed by O or au, the adesha or the letter with which we will be replacing will only be au. Since I and au are both vriddhi letters, we call this the vriddhi sandhi. Yes, so the sutram given as vriddhihi echi. We know that in the Maheshwara Sutras, the H pratyahara is A Om I Ouch. So starting from A up to Chakara is H pratyahara, which has A, O, I and Au. So when these letters follow, then we get vriddhi. Vriddhi means I and Au. So the letter with which we replace is a vriddhi letter. So this is called a vriddhi sandhi. So vriddhihi echi. When H is the one which follows, echi is the saptami ekavajanam of H. So when we mention something in saptami, it means it follows. When we mention something in panchami, it is something which is followed by. Whereas when we mention something in saptami, it is that which follows. So if A or O or I or Au are the ones which follow, then we get a vriddhi as the adesha, is the meaning of this sutra. Let us see some examples. Akara, akara followed by A or I, we get I as the adesha. Mukkai Krishnamurti Mahodaya.
Ram Ram.
Namaste.
Ram Bhagini.
Ram.
Adya plus eva. Adyaiva.
Samyak. Adya eva. Adyaiva.
Tava plus eva. Taiva.
Tava plus eva.
Tavaiva. Mama plus eva. Mamaiva.
Just give me a minute. Sorry, Mahodaya. You can continue. Tavaiva. Once again.
Mama plus eva. Mamaiva. Sha plus eva. Shaiva.
Shaiva.
Tata plus eva. Tataiva. Sada plus eva. Sadaiva.
Yes. So even if it is an akara, we get the aikara only. So this is when it is followed by ekara. We get an aikara as vriddhi. Samyak Mahodaya. Dhanyavada.
Dhanyavada.
There is one more. Vanita plus eva. Vanitaiva. Try to do one more. Sri Ranjani Mohan Ram Bhagini. Unmute yourself. Unable to hear you, Bhagini. Gayatri Bhagini.
Namaste Bhagini.
Ram Ram. Namaste. Akara plus Aikara.
Tava plus Aishwaryam, Tavaishwaryam.
Tava plus Aishwaryam, Tavaishwaryam.
Mama plus Aishwaryam, Mamaishwaryam.
Same. Mama plus Aishwaryam, Mamaishwaryam. Akara.
Maha plus Aishwaryam, Mahaishwaryam.
Maha plus Aishwaryam, Mahaishwaryam.
Raja plus Aikshata, Rajaikshata.
Rajaikshata. Samyak Bhagini. Dhanyavadah.
Dhanyavad.
Ramakrishnan Mahodaya.
Ram Bhagini.
Namaste. Now, Kara or Akara followed by O or O. Mama.
Mama plus Oshadhi.
Sorry? Mama plus Oshadhi, Mamaushadhi.
Tava plus Oshadhi, Tavaishadhi.
Tava plus Oshadhi, Tavaushadhi. Kara and Okara.
Akka plus Mahodyaha.
This is Gha. Ogha. Ogha is current or flow of a river or like floods. Mahogha. Maha plus
Oshadhi, Mahaushadhi.
Maha plus Oshadhi, Mahoshadhi. Samyak Mahodaya. Dhanyavadah. Let's stop here. There is just there are just 2 more slides of Vriddhi. We'll complete that. Anyone else who hasn't tried so far wants to try? Amita Bhargava Bhagini.
Ram Bhagini.
Ram Ram. Namaste.
Namaste.
Now, Akara Akara followed by Okara Okara giving O. Jana.
Jana plus Audaryam will give Janaudaryam.
Correct. Janaudaryam. Jana plus Audaryam, Janaudaryam.
Deva plus Audaryam will give A plus O, Devaudaryam. Devaudaryam.
It is the, it is not a, this is a mistake. Yeah, it should be the. Devaudaryam.
Maha plus Aushadham will give Mahoshadham.
Mahaushadham. Akara gives a, Akara now gives O. Mahaushadham. Samyak Bhagini. So this is an exception to Vriddhi. I will just explain this. Dhanyavadah Bhagini. So Bimba and Oshtha there is an akara at the end of bimba and okara at the beginning of oshtaha. So bimboshthaha, which has a pararupam, is also the correct form. Bimboshthaha with vriddhi done is also a correct form. Sthula plus otuhu. So bimba oshtaha means the bimba phala, which is I think they say a kovai param in Tamil. I think it's kokine. When it is ripe, it's really bright red in color. So the lips are compared to the that fruit, bimboshthaha. And sthula otuhu is a fat cat. So otuhu is a cat, sthula is one which is fat. So sthulotuhu is with pararupam is also a correct form, and sthulotuhu with vriddhi is also correct. Shivaya Om, Shivayom. It is not Shivayom, it is Shivayom, where a pararupam happens. So these are the exceptions to vriddhi sandhi. The exceptions are called apavada. So let's stop here and take the questions. So how is Rama Lakshmana different from Chandrarka? So Chandra and Arka, there is a Savarna Dirgha Sandhi which has happened within the Samasa. Whereas in Rama Lakshmana, no Sandhi has happened. Both are Samasta Padas and both have two different words which have been combined with a Dvivachana Pratyaya. And so in that sense, they are similar. Whereas the absence of Sandhi is what differentiates them. Gangotri. It may have been formed by a Purvarupa Sandhi. I am not very sure. I will check that. That is an interesting question. Is Gangotri formed due to a Guna Sandhi? I will check that and come back to you. What is the meaning of Urmihi? Urmihi is a wave. What prompts these exceptions? So all grammar rules are formed in order to, arrive at the prayoga which is already existing. So grammar follows the language that has already or ever existed. So we are trying to create a system where we can try and arrive at the correct forms. So wherever there is an exception in the usage, that has to be accommodated. Mama plus eva, it should be mamaiva. I will check that. In which page in the textbook are we following these examples? These are in lesson 31. I'm not sure about the page. Urdhvam meaning. Urdhvam is above. Urdhvam is upari, above. Okay. Now Churji has named his newly released Gita commentary as Vyasaushadham. Vyasasya Aushadham. So there is a Vriddhi Sandhi which has happened. Aushadhi. So Aushadham is that which has been derived from an Oshadhi. Oshadhi is a herb. Generally, medicines are derived from the Oshadhis. So it is called Aushadham. It is a derivative. Okay. Udaha meaning. Udaha is the Kta Pratyaya form of Vah Dhatu, carried. So Udaha is carried. Now, as I have always told you, don't try to connect the two words which are given, to combine in Sandhi, because they may be two unrelated words in a sentence. They may be completely out of context. So only when we know the full sentence, we can do them. But when these two words are uttered close together, then this is the Sandhi which will happen. So Udaha means which has been carried. So let's stop here and recite the Shanti Mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Dhanyavadaha. Punarmilam.